Hi and welcome back to Lost Genre entitled Parents, where some Karens just can't help themselves from, being Karens. And without taking any more time with the intro, let's just go ahead and start with the first story. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. You most likely already know Karen, but I want to clarify that EK in this story stands for embarrassed kid, and OG stands for old gentleman, 60-some-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Backstory. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully not spreading. It was contained. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point I had to go bald, but I wore a wig because I didn't want to look like a skinhead. I'm 6'4" and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took it only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like crap thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. 2 stops later, enter Karen, a large woman with an "I demand a parley with the CEO" haircut, and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, started looking for a free seat. She spotted me and started marching towards me while shoving others aside. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed. "Hey, could you let my kid sit down?" "You mean me?" "Who else?" "Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital and..." Karen cuts me off. "So are we." Nonsense. The stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital. "My boy just broke his leg and we're coming straight from the ER." Her kid was standing next to her, without any support, clearly embarrassed. I say, "He's standing next to you completely fine." She goes, "Look here, boy." I'm 21 years old. "My kid deserves to sit down." "Look, madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital and I need to sit down and rest." I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. Karen starts yelling in my face, "Stop making excuses and get off the effing seat, you effing skinhead piece of ass." At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now enter OG, my savior. He says, "Will you shut the F up, you dumb cow?" "Who do you think you're talking to?" Him, with a really ice-cold voice. "Stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron could see that the dude has cancer." She goes, "No, he's just an effing skinhead." And then the old guy says, "He's got no eyebrows, you twat." Seems like that really offended Karen because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch in OG's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted and the kid probably wished he'd never been born. The older gentleman then said something unbelievable and a golden sweet karma moment followed. He says, "Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You are in deep trouble, lady." He then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he took out his phone, called someone, and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. The old guy was a bloody cop. At this point, Karen was as white as a wall. The bus had just come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for Karen and embarrassed kid. The kid told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. The old gentleman then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes. Took a statement and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, Karen got some jail time, I think it was a few months, and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and the sweet taste of instant karma. I should also note that the surgery went well. I was declared cancer-free in November and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. Ah, man, what is up with these people, these Karens or entitled parents? Why are they always saying, my child deserves? Deserves what? They're not above other people. They deserve just as much as anybody else. I think the part that bugged me the most was after she demanded that the guy give up his seat and he didn't want to because, he was in his right to say no, she just tried to yank him off the seat. Who does she think she is, just grabbing some stranger off his seat to give it to her kid? What the hell? I think she was lucky that the guy was feeling like crap from the chemo, or else he probably would have pushed her or something. I don't know. The good thing, apart from Karen getting what she had coming, is that people stood up for him. The cop that confronted Karen and the other passengers that just wouldn't let her get off. That's, a point for humanity. What do you think? How would you have reacted if you were sitting right next to OP and you see this woman come up to him, scream at him and try to yank him off the seat? What would you have done? Go ahead and, write that on the comment section. Okay, now let's move on to the next story. I used to work in a small chain of bookstores, stationery shops. We'd sell books, pens, paper, and so on. It was a quirky little store, straight out of a romantic love novella, or a Stephen King book if you prefer. Karen walks into the store with a little girl. It's rather early in the morning. Karen looks around, asks me if I could watch her child. I say, "Oh no, I'm terrible with children, sorry." Karen tells me that it's not for that long and I shouldn't be such a fuzz about it. I still politely refuse. It's not my job to watch children. I'm afraid to do something wrong. What happens? Karen leaves the store. What do I find hidden in the corner? The little girl who seems to be rather shy and fearful. This happens back in a time before everyone had smartphones. Little girl obviously didn't have a mobile on her. I suspected the mother also wouldn't. I wasn't too surprised that little girl didn't know the number of their landline. I sigh. What are you gonna do? If something happens to that kid while being in the store and you being the only present employee, you're gonna have a bad time. So I go, "Hey girl, what's your name?" She says her name. Then I go, I give her my first and last name. Little girl, happy like only kids can be if they think they did something smart or they knew something, says, "My surname is the surname." Now this rang a bell. I had a good customer with the same surname. It turns out that it's her really nice dad. I didn't get paid enough to babysit. In fact, I didn't even get paid enough to do my normal work. I call her dad at his workplace since we have saved that number in our system. The call went along these lines. "Hi, nice dad. Here's OP from Bookstore XY. "Oh, hi OP. How's it going? I don't remember having any open orders." "Yeah, look, listen. Do you have a daughter?" Yes. Why do you ask?" "What's her name?" I just wanted to ensure it's really her dad and not just a stupid coincidence. Thinking back on it now, little girl told me it's her dad, so I don't know why I wasn't sure. The nice dad confirms the name and I update him on what happened. He apologizes for Karen's behavior and tells me he's gonna pick up little girl as soon as possible. While waiting for nice dad, I picked up an on-sale book. Damaged books that we try to sell with a huge discount before throwing away. It's a picture book from Disney. Little girl tries to read a little, I read a little. The nice dad arrives, little girl runs to him and hugs him, crying that mommy was mean to her. The nice dad soothes her and thanks me for babysitting her. He gives me a bottle of wine and buys something small from the store. Then he says, "If Karen shows up again, could you not tell her that I picked up the little girl?" "What? Why?" "If you don't feel like it, you don't need to. It's rather complicated and you already did so much for us." The nice dad leaves. In the evening, Karen shows up. Just to point out, she dropped little girl off at about 9 a.m. It was 5:45 in the afternoon. Karen says, "Where's my daughter?" Me, already chugged about half the bottle of wine and thus a little boozed. You're what?
My daughter. I dropped her in this store and you were here.
Me, way too drunk for work, but already decided to go for another job or homeless. Either would have been better. You're what? Karen was on the edge. Thus, I did what I thought was the smartest thing to do. A guy came into the store and picked her up. He seemed nice. He gave me some wine for her. At this point, I expected her to explode, attack me, but she just left the store. A few weeks pass. A nice dad and little girl come to the store, both happy to see me. Nice dad asks if I have got a few minutes. An excuse not to work? Obviously, I took the time for customer service. Gave little girl the same book we had read the last time and talked with Nice Dad. Turns out that Karen and Nice Dad were in the middle of a divorce when Karen dropped little girl at the store. One of the reasons Nice Dad wanted a divorce was that Karen wasn't nice to little girl. Now, in my country, as a male, it's rather hard to get custody of your child, no matter what. Little girl wanted to be with Nice Dad, but that didn't matter. Karen dropping little girl in our store was a gift from heaven. Nice Dad took little girl to his sister's overnight. And Karen pretended that little girl was sleeping at one of her friends. Nice Dad wanted to call them just to ensure that little girl was fine. Karen, of course, didn't want that. Little girl's friend didn't know where little girl was. Karen claimed she dropped little girl at little girl's friend. Nice Dad faked panic and involved the police. Karen insisted that little girl's friend kidnapped little girl. Police asked Nice Dad and Karen separately, and Nice Dad told the police what really happened. Karen still insisted on her dropping little girl at little girl's friend. The Nice Dad had proof of it being otherwise since he already called the police when he dropped little girl at his sister's house. Now, in court, Nice Dad apparently said something like, Karen can have all she wants, even my wine collection. I just want to be with my daughter. Karen, knowing that Nice Dad didn't have any money left and had some quite expensive wines, agreed. The daughter ended up with Nice Dad and Karen paying alimony. What Karen didn't know was that Nice Dad was replacing his wine collection before the divorce with the cheapest wines he could find at different discounters, giving away the expensive ones. He knew that Karen would either take everything from him or break his wine collection. We both laughed and I gave little girl the book. She seemed very happy. I'll just say what everybody's thinking. Karen sucks. Not only is she a bad person, she's a horrible parent. I totally understand some people not wanting to be parents, and that's fine, it's their choice of course, but I honestly don't understand parents that having a kid just failed to love them and neglect them by putting their personal needs in front of their kids' needs. At the same time, there are some parents that just believe that their children are the center of the universe and deserve everything, and you get these bratty, entitled kids that believe, the world revolves around them. It's a tricky thing, really. I believe being a parent is loving your kid enough to nurture their confidence and self-esteem so that they grow up believing in themselves, but at the same time, making them aware that other people in the world also exists that have rights and duties just as they do. I'm happy for this little girl that she gets to live with a parent that you can tell actually loves her. But that's enough out of me. What do you guys think? Just go ahead and write your ideas in the comment section. And like usually, we've reached that time where it's the end of the video, so I hope you guys really liked it. If you did, go ahead and click that like button right underneath and stick around for more content. I'll see you guys on the next video.